as well as all the ministers and other distinguished representatives who have joined us today. We do not have much time today, so I will immediately hand over to Mr. Enoch Godongwana, the Minister of Finance of the Republic of South Africa, to deliver his opening remarks on behalf of the South African G20 presidency. Minister, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peters. His Excellencies, distinguished ministers, heads of international organizations, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my honor to welcome you all to this important Compact with Africa side event held on the margins of the first G20 Leaders Summit on the African soil. We gather at a historic moment, one in which Africa's voice, priorities, and aspirations are shaping global economic discussions in an unprecedented and meaningful ways. This year, the Compact with Africa was designated as one of the key priorities of South Africa's G20 presidents. We worked diligently to elevate its profile and promote the initiative in ways not done in recent years. Since its inception in 2017 under the German G20 presidency, the Compact with Africa has evolved into one of the most influential platforms for partnership between African countries, the G20 and the international financial institutions. The initiative was founded on a clear and compelling vision to improve the investment climate in participating African countries, strengthen macroeconomic and financial frameworks, and mobilize private investment to support sustainable and inclusive economic growth. The Compact rests on three core pillars: macroeconomic stability, predictable financing frameworks, and sound business environments. Over the years, Compact countries have advanced ambitious reform agendas to enhance public financial management, modernize revenue systems, deepen financial markets, and create conditions that enable vibrant private sector participation. These reforms have helped attract greater investor interest, stimulated infrastructure development, and strengthened dialogue between African governments and the global partners. The Compact has also expanded in both scope and membership, demonstrating its continued relevance and appeal. This expansion reflects the growing confidence in the Compact's approach, as well as the increasing demand across the continent for structured, reform-oriented partnerships that deliver tangible economic outcomes. We are pleased to have worked closely with Germany this year to bring this Compact with Africa to the forefront of the G20 agenda. With those words, it's now my honor and privilege to invite His Excellency Deputy President Paul Mashatile, the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, to deliver his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Minister Godongwana. Let me greet Chancellor Friedrich Merz from Germany, sitting on my right. Let me greet Your Excellency President Lorenzo, President of the Republic of Angola, all excellencies, heads of states and government who are with us here that I may not have seen, I'm sure others are still coming. President of the World Bank, Ajay Banga, distinguished ministers and central bank governors, heads of international organizations, distinguished guests. It is my honor to welcome you to this G20 Compact with Africa event on economic growth and jobs. This event allows us to reflect on the progress that has been achieved through the Compact with Africa and to discuss the promise of its next phase, known as Compact with Africa 2.0. The Compact aims to deepen investments, create jobs, and build sustainable prosperity through stronger partnerships with the private sector. Since its establishment during Germany's G20 presidency in 2017, the Compact with Africa has made steady progress. It has supported participating countries in implementing ambitious reforms and mobilizing investments. It has strengthened dialogue between governments, private investors, and international partners. We welcome the increased interest by African countries in joining the initiative. This underscores its relevance and value. This year, we have made revitalizing the Compact with Africa a central priority, with a focus on expanding membership through enhanced visibility within the G20 and across the African continent. Over the course of 2025, and in close collaboration with the German federal government, we convened a series of high-level events to showcase and profile the Compact. This included a ministerial dialogue held on the margins of the G20 finance ministers and the central bank governors in July. This was followed by a ministerial outreach on the margins of the 8th African Union Specialized Committee on Finance in October. The ministerial outreach was an important platform to inform AU member states about the benefits and achievements of the Compact. The last high-level event was convened on the margins of the 2025 annual meetings of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund. Supported by the World Bank, this event marked the official launch of the new multi-donor trust fund designed to support the next phase of reforms and investment within the Compact with Africa framework. We welcome Germany's commitment to provide the initial contribution of 10 million euros towards this new instrument. Today's dialogue reaffirms the importance of strong cooperation between the G20 and Africa, underscoring the vital role of the private sector and driving growth, creating jobs, and promoting shared prosperity. I trust that through this engagement, we will strengthen the Compact as a key channel for partnership, reform support, and increase private sector involvement. We are confident that it will continue to unlock investments and help build resilience, inclusive economies across the continent. In closing, I would like to thank the German federal government for its steadfast leadership of this initiative since its inception. I acknowledge our valued partners, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank Group, the African Development Bank, the African Center for Economic Transformation, and the African Union for their continued support. Lastly, we recognize the Compact countries for their efforts in reforming their economies and ensuring that investment flows in Africa. Let us move forward with renewed partnerships and new investments. Let us work together to secure growth, jobs, and shared prosperity for all Africans. I now invite Chancellor Metz to deliver his remarks. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much, Mr. Vice President, for your kind introduction. I'm really happy to be here and to be here for the first time when the G20 summit takes place for the first time in Africa. So I'm feeling very much welcomed, and I would like to say that there is no better place than Johannesburg to talk about Africa's economic future. And Mr. Vice President, I know what I'm speaking about because during my education as a lawyer I spent a couple of months in this beautiful country, and since then I know the huge potential of this beautiful country in the southern part of the African continent. So many thanks for inviting us, many thanks for being together in this group, and it's really my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this side event on the G20 meeting with the Compact with Africa group. Africa is, as I said, a continent of opportunity. Africa is a continent of huge opportunities. Africa is a young, dynamic continent. And Africa is a continent with huge economic potential, therefore. And our partnership can unlock much more of this potential in the future. The G20 Compact with Africa builds exactly these partnerships between G20 members and African countries, between governments and the private sector, and between entrepreneurs and investors. Compact countries are pushing reforms. With support from the World Bank, from you, dear Ajay, and from many partners in the world. They are all creating conditions that attract private investment. This is good for Africa's growth, this is good for the people on the continent, and this is good for global growth. Now we see many success stories in many compact countries already. More investment, more jobs. But our task is, today and from now on, to scale this up. I would call it a new phase, or let's name it Compact 2.0. With Zambia and Angola joining this year, the Compact is now a group of 15. Congratulations, President Lorenzo. Welcome on board of this group. Now, as you know, Germany supports this group. Germany currently supports economic reform projects in compact countries, and we are supporting that with more than 3.2 billion euros. This is a strong lever for new economic opportunities, both for Africa and for my country, for Germany. Today, and this is a great pleasure for me, I can announce a further important step of our engagement. Germany will become a shareholder of the African Trade and Investment Development Insurance through our development bank, which is called KfW, Kreditanstalt für Wiederaufbau. ATIDI is a powerful instrument, as you all know. It boosts trade. It boosts private investment in Africa. It reduces risks and builds trust for investors and for new investors. Our German equity investment in ATIDI will amount to more than 37 million euros now. This will have a big impact. We will be able to mobilize an additional at least 400, potentially 430 million euros or 500 million US dollars in trade and investment. We will see even stronger trading links between Germany and African countries. More investment by German companies on the continent. More value creation in Africa. Our cooperation, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, is here to stay. We are and we will remain partners for a better future on this continent, in my country, and together. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here and part of the group.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, for those insightful remarks. Having heard from the two co-chairs of the Compact, South Africa and Germany, it is now my great pleasure to invite His Excellency, Mr. João Lourenço, President of the Republic of Angola, the current chair of the African Union, and a newly admitted Compact with Africa member, to share his reflections on Africa's perspectives and opportunities. And it is indeed an honor to welcome the Republic of Angola as the 15th member of the Compact with Africa. Your Excellency, President Lourenço, the floor is yours.
Muito obrigado. Excelência, Sr. Vice-Presidente da República da África do Sul, em representação do Presidente Cyril Ramaphosa, Sua Excelência Frederico Merz, Chanceler da República Federal da Alemanha e co-presidente do Grupo Consultivo Africano sobre o Compacto with África, Excelências, chefes de Estado e de Governo dos países do Compacto with África, minhas senhoras, meus senhores, Excelências.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of South Africa, representing President Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa, His Excellency Frederick Merz, Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany and co-chair of the African Consultative Group on Compact with Africa, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government of the Compact African country, ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies.
Gostaria de começar por felicitar a África do Sul e a Alemanha por organizarem este importante evento paralelo em colaboração com a União Africana sobre o Pacto com a África.
I would like to start by congratulating South Africa and Germany for organizing this important side event in collaboration with the African Union on the Compact with Africa.
Gostaria também de felicitar mais uma vez a África do Sul por ter acolhido com sucesso o G20 em África e por ter feito do Pacto do G20 com a África uma das prioridades da sua presidência do G20.
I would also like once again to extend my congratulations to South Africa for the successful hosting of the G20 in Africa and for making the G20 Compact with Africa one of the priorities for its G20 presidency.
A União Africana congratula-se por constatar que o objetivo de aumentar o número de países signatários do Pacto com a África durante a presidência sul-africana do G20 foi alcançado com a adesão de mais 2 países, nomeadamente a Zâmbia e Angola.
The African Union is pleased to note that the objective of increasing the number of signatory countries to the Compact with Africa during the South Africa's G20 presidency was achieved with the accession of 2 more countries, namely Zambia and Angola.
Gostaria, portanto, de aproveitar esta oportunidade para felicitar a Zâmbia e agradecer, em nome da Angola, por esta importante conquista.
I would therefore like to take this opportunity to congratulate Zambia and thank you on behalf of Angola on this significant achievement.
Com esse passo, o número de países signatários do Pacto com a África passa a ser de 15.
the number of signatory countries to the Compact with Africa now stands at 15.
Para aqueles que estão familiarizados com o sistema jurídico da União Africana, 15 é o número mínimo de ratificações necessárias para a entrada em vigor da maioria dos nossos instrumentos jurídicos.
For those acquainted with the legal framework of the African Union, 15 is the minimum number of ratifications required for the entry into force of the most of our legal instruments.
Assim, posso inferir que o Pacto com a África se tornou agora uma iniciativa à escala da União Africana, o que é positivo para a integração econômica do continente.
In this regard, I may infer that the Compact with Africa has now become an initiative of the African Union's scale, which bodes well with Africa's economic integration.
A União Africana acredita firmemente que, à medida que mais países africanos aderirem ao Pacto com a África, implementarem reformas fundamentais, a África como um todo se posicionará como um continente reformador e aberto aos negócios, tornando os nossos países mais atrativos para os investidores, que são necessários para concretizar o objetivo de uma África próspera, baseado no desenvolvimento inclusivo e sustentável, articulado com a aspiração 1 da Agenda 2063 à África que queremos.
The African Union firmly believes that as more African countries join the Compact with Africa and implement fundamental reforms, Africa as a whole will position itself as a reform-oriented continent, open for business, thereby rendering our countries more attractive to investors who are essential for the realization of a prosperous Africa, one based on inclusive and sustainable development, as articulated in Aspiration 1 of the 2063 Agenda, Africa We Want.
Apelo a todos os presentes para que trabalhem em conjunto e com celeridade para tornarmos esta ambição em realidade.
I call upon all those present here to work together and with diligence so that we may transform this ambition into reality.
Nossos povos e o mundo estão com os olhos postos em nós, portanto, não os desiludamos.
Our peoples and the world have their eyes upon us. Let us not disappoint them.
Obrigado pela vossa atenção.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency, President Lorenzo. I will now invite Mr. Mahmoud Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, to take the floor. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. President, Your Excellency, Mr. Chancellor, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Governments, ladies and gentlemen. Building on the statement by His Excellency, Mr. João Manuel Gonçalves Rolanço, President of the Republic of Angola and Chair of the African Union, let me highlight three main opportunities for the sake of complementarity between the G20 Compact with Africa and key African Union strategies and programs. The first key element is the African Continental Free Trade Area. The intra-African trade and investment needs to be boosted in order to achieve the objective of inclusive growth and a sustainable development. Now, the issue is that Africa's trade potential remains largely unrealized, mainly due to the continent's weak productive sector, deficient logistic links, and trade-related infrastructure. In order to address these challenges, Africa needs huge investments, both domestic and foreign, estimated at around $130 billion to $170 billion per year. As highlighted at the third Financing Summit for Africa's Infrastructure Development in Luanda, Angola last month. In this respect, the Compact with Africa provides an opportunity to implement the reforms to attract the necessary investments needed to harness the full potential of AFCFTA. More specifically, reforms under the Compact with Africa will help achieve the objectives of the Protocol of the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement on investment. Second, there's an opportunity for complementarity between the Compact with Africa and the African Virtual Investment Platform, which was launched in February 2025. This digital tool aims to gather quality and timely information on public and private, foreign and domestic investment and related policies and reforms across all African countries and sectors. Third and last area is the sector of industrialization through manufacturing and value chains development, underpinned by the Accelerated Industrial Development for Africa Action Plan. In effect, by promoting targeted and integrated economic policy reforms, Compact Africa can help unlock investments needed to accelerate regional and continental value chains development. The focus should be on priority sectors such as mineral resources in order to create decent jobs and generate incomes for millions of Africans. Your Excellencies, as I conclude, let me reaffirm the African Union's commitment to work with the co-chairs and the G20 Africa Advisory Group in advancing the Compact with Africa during the next cycle of 20 presidencies, facilitating experience, sharing, and dissemination of best practices between Compact with African countries and other AU member states are indeed of paramount importance. I thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Yusuf. We will now hear from a compact country, Ethiopia, on how the initiative is being implemented at the country level and the benefits and successes that are already emerging. It is my pleasure to invite His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, to share Ethiopia's experience, including successes and lessons learned under the Compact. Your Excellency, Prime Minister Abiy, the floor is yours.
Your Excellency, Chancellor Frederick, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, dear friends, the Compact with Africa was built on a simple yet transformative idea. When African nations commit to reform, and the G20, along with other international partners, commit to support those efforts with capital, technology, and expertise, a new development pathway becomes possible. 8 years after the Compact launch, the results speak for themselves. Across Compact countries, a wave of deep, difficult, and decisive reforms have taken root. Reforms that strengthen macroeconomic stability, open economies to investment, and restore confidence. In Ethiopia, we have undertaken historic change, modernizing our macroeconomic framework, reforming our monetary and financial systems, opening up our financial sector, expanding financial inclusion, and in one of our most consequential reforms, liberalizing our foreign exchange regime. This reform took place in Ethiopia after 5 decades. These are not abstract achievements. They are the foundations of a modern, resilient economy capable of attracting long-term private capital. We have tackled long-standing barriers to enterprise and job creation by opening telecom markets, reforming state-owned enterprises, improving trade facilitation, advancing renewable energy investment, and strengthening regulatory frameworks for long-term finance and capital market. Though demanding political courage, these reforms have made our economies more competitive. Africa's economic rise is underway, taking shape in our cities, farmers, factories, and digital ecosystems. to unlock its full potential, reform must drive investment, and investment must drive shares. The world today is far more complex than when the compact began. It must now focus on accelerating transformation at scale. The G20 must match ambition with action through genuine partnership grounded in investment, innovation, and shared prosperity. It must strengthen the Compact with Africa 2.0 Trust Fund, expand guarantees, and blend finance to unlock private capital, advance timely and predictable debt relief under the common framework, support deeper capital markets, and improved credit ratings, and also champion African integration from African Continental Free Trade Area, corridors to cross-border infrastructure and digital connectivity. The next decade must be even more ambitious. Let Compact with Africa 2.0 be a platform for Africa and global prosperity. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency Prime Minister Abe, for those valuable insights into Ethiopia's reform efforts, as well as highlighting the concrete benefits of the compact. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Jonas Gahr Sture, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Norway, to take the floor. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Norway is as far away as you can come from the African continent. It's a long travel. But I'm happy that we have been part of the compact since 2017. I'd like to salute South Africa and Germany for launching it and for expanding on it. And I hear from my colleague from Ethiopia that it is gaining also relevance in one of the most thriving economies. Yesterday, I visited a 100 megawatt solar power plant in the Free State, 1 hour outside Johannesburg. It is a company called Mainstream with a major Norwegian share. So I've seen a Norwegian company investing in this, and it will provide electricity to thousands of households around Johannesburg. And when you drive there, you see that there is a lot of housing which is fine. And there's also housing without electricity and with severe deficit on grids. So all of this comes together to say that the compact is important. It is of relevance also for my country. Every year we host the Nordic African Business Summit in Oslo, which has grown to become the biggest event in the Nordic countries to promote investment and business with the continent. So I think this fits well with the compact. The key words here: true partnerships, meaningful dialogue, collaboration on reform, sharing experiences, and also the role of the multilateral development banks. And I also like to salute my friend, the President of the World Bank, how the World Bank and the development banks now take, I think, a role in innovating their mechanisms. And let me say, just coming from Norway, that development aid is not going to make the big difference here. It is, ODA is at best declining, at worst declining rapidly. But we are also innovating, doing new things, which is more in line of the investment. And Africa is really offering so tremendous opportunities in that direction. We had a successful Business 20 meeting here in Johannesburg recently. And I heard from my business that they came back with new ideas, new contacts, and new inspiration to move forward. So I see this as an opportunity also to have springboard for our industries and our investments in Africa. And I hope that Germany and South Africa will continue to call these side events, because I think they are good stock takings also for a country like mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency Prime Minister Sture, for expressing your support to the compact. We will now invite another central partner in advancing the work of the compact, the World Bank Group, to share with us their role in supporting jobs and growth in Africa and advancing South Africa's G20 presidency's legacy in this regard. Mr. Ajay Banga, the President of the World Bank Group, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. By 2050, 85% of the world's population will be in what we call today developing countries. 1 in 4 actually will be African. Africa will have the largest workforce in the world and the youngest. Its cities will be among the fastest growing. But population is just one part of that story. Many of these countries hold the very resources, as the German Chancellor and the Norwegian Prime Minister just said. They hold the very resources that will shape the world's future. Over 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land, enough to help feed a growing planet, is in Africa. Minerals critical for energy and digital transitions are in Africa. An abundant sun, wind and water, enough to meet their own needs, but potentially to export clean energy to others. This is Africa's gift. They will help define the century. With the right approach, if we focus on opportunity, not on need, we can unlock a tremendous engine of global growth and job creation. And that is why we are focused on private sector jobs, which account for 90% of unemployment, and on building the conditions that allow entrepreneurs and businesses to thrive. So we think it takes 3 things. The first is critical infrastructure, both physical and human: roads, ports, power, health, skills. That is why we are working on M300 with the African Development Bank to connect people to electricity in Africa. It is why we are doing work on healthcare. It is why we are doing work on small farmers and agribusiness. Second, a better business environment. The point that the Prime Minister of Ethiopia was making: clear, predictable rules and modern institutions. And third, a thriving private sector supported by access to de-risking tools, like in fact the Chancellor talked about ATIDI. ATIDI, which KfW has just invested in, is a partner of MEGA. And so I'm really glad to see this, because I think KfW bringing their capital to the table is a sign of great belief in ATIDI. Now the thing is, this is not about shifting jobs across borders. I'm convinced this is about creating opportunity where people live by building a middle class that drives demand, including for goods and services from developed economies. Because development is not a zero-sum game, it's an investment in our shared future, as you can see both the European leaders saying with great clarity. Germany understands that, Norway understands that. They are playing a catalytic role through the Compact with Africa. The first phase was focused on business environment. 13 countries, we worked with them to modernize customs, tax systems, and reform commercial laws. That's how the foundation for investment happened in Ethiopia, in Tunisia, in Morocco. Momentum is building, and thanks to the President of Angola, Angola and Zambia have also joined this year. We're now into the second phase, one that it's all about scale, as the Chancellor said. We will have a new trust fund that is benefiting from Germany's generosity. For the first time, all parts of the institution are operating through a single platform, which to me is a tangible milestone of the very reform agenda that I was elected and the G20 asked me to lead on. This next phase will focus on countries advancing reform and private sector opportunity by 3 things: invest in critical infrastructure, invest in skills. Second, support continued reforms to strengthen institutions, and most importantly, transparency. And third, mobilize private capital to deliver jobs at scale. So the idea here is we're going to help businesses, large and small, to start, to grow, to thrive. But I think that reform ambition has to be led by the African governments themselves. We can help. The World Bank can help. The IMF can help. The African Development Bank can help. Other partners, but by help. But eventually, it is for African countries and leaders to seize the moment. Thank you to Germany, thank you to South Africa for your continued leadership, and thanks to all of you for your generosity in having us as a part of this group. I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much, President Banga. To formally convey our appreciation and bring this side event to a close, I now have the honor of inviting Mr. Ronald Lamola, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, to deliver a word of thanks on behalf of the South African G20 presidency. Minister Lamola, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. In the interest of time, I will stand on existing protocols. It was a distinguished honor to have you all here with us today as we conclude this high-level side event on the G20 Compact with Africa. Allow me to extend our deepest gratitude on behalf of South Africa's G20 presidency to all who contributed to make this important event a success. As was eloquently articulated by the speakers, the Compact with Africa 2.0 aimed to deepen investment, create jobs, build sustainable prosperity through stronger partnerships with the private sector. We hope that this event further highlighted the importance of the Compact in further unlocking the economic potential of the continent. I would like to thank all speakers for conveying one overarching message of the important and key role players in the partnerships. Cooperation and private sector play in enhancing economic growth, decent jobs, prosperity in Africa and beyond. We further note with satisfaction that G20 Leaders Summit recognized the importance of the G20 Compact with Africa and commended South Africa's G20 presidency for strengthening the compact further, including through launch of the second phase 2025 to 2033, supported by the establishment of the World Bank Group Multi-Donor Fund. I would like to convey a special thanks to Your Excellencies President Ramaphosa, here today represented by the Deputy President Paul Mashatile, and the Federal Chancellor of Merz of Germany, Chancellor Merz, for hosting this event and highlighting how cooperation between G20 economies and African economies is vital in boosting private investment in Africa. We will be following through the conclusion of this side event, issue a joint communique outlining the spirit of our discussion and commitments and strengthen the G20 Compact with Africa as the key platform for dialogue and engagement between the G20 and Africa, and emphasizing the key role the private sector has to play in enhancing economic growth, decent jobs, prosperity in Africa within the G20. Thank you very much, Duncan. I hope you will then announce the processes of the family photo. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Lamola. That brings the event to a close, and I believe it will be followed by a photo. Thank you.